In this video, I'm going to be talking about World War I, which lasted from 1914 to 1918. So, these are some of the names of movies that depict some of the scenes and action and what happened during World War I. You have Family Feud, A Fall of the Eagles, The War to End All Wars. That's very ironic because it was a very bloody war, but it didn't really end all wars. The causes of World War I. World War I is also known as the Great War. The first reason behind World War I would be militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. We can remember them as main. Militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism were the four main causes behind World War I. Militarism. Germany was competing with the UK to build battleships. The British feared an attack on their empire. Now, as we all know, Britain is an island, and so it is vital for them to have the power of the seas, because they import a lot of their goods. And that is why it is famous, Britain is famous for its navy. The Germans have succeeded in building the first U-boat, which is very powerful and is one of the main causes behind the death of so many. Militarism continued. Germany was competing with Russia and France to expand their armies. In 1880, Germany had about 1.3 million active troops. But by 1914, it had 5 million active troops. France all these countries have growing numbers of armies. Now, Germany had reached a state where they have 5 million active troops. That is so many. The largest army with active groups in 2012 is China with 2.3 million active troops. That is the biggest army. Now, Germany has about double the size of that in 1914, and we know that the population grew greatly during the 20th century and the 21st century, where we hit 7 billion. So, militarism and arms race. So, this is the total defense expenditures for the great powers: Germany, Austria-Hungary, Italy, France, Britain, and Russia, in millions of pounds. So let's start with 1870. You have 94 million sterlings, which is the average. By 1914, you reach a state where you have so much money spent on the military. Now, Germany was 73%. Had a 73% increase in its defense expenditures, which shows that they knew that they were entering a war. Russia, 39% increase, Britain 13%, and France at 10% increase. Alliances. By 1914, all of the major powers were linked by a system of alliances. The alliances were made it more likely that a war would start. Once started, the alliances made it more likely to spread. From this map, we understand that there are two alliances. There are Allied powers and Central powers. Allied powers include England, France, later Italy, and the Russian Empire. Central powers, you have the Ottoman Empire, the German Empire, and the Austria-Hungarian Empire, which is nevertheless very, very strong. So, the triple system, triple alliance, as we can see. You have all these nations on one side and the other side. So that means from the alliances that if, let's say, Britain attacks Germany, It is Austria and Hungary's duty and Italy's duty to defend Germany. But by defending Germany, it is France, on attacking Britain, it is France and Russia's responsibility to help it as well. Two armed camps. So you had the Allied powers, like we said, and Italy later joined. And you had the Central Powers, which is the Ottoman Empire, the Austria-Hungary, and Germany. The major players from 1914 to 1917. So you had the Allied powers, and the major players were Nicholas II of Russia, George V of Britain, Victor Emmanuel of Italy, and the second, and President Poincaré of France. The Central Powers, you had William II of Germany, Franz Joseph of Austria-Hungary, and Enver Pasha of Turkey. Now, Europe in 1914. So this is a map of Europe in 1914. As we can see, Austria-Hungary is one huge empire with Bulgaria. You had Russia that had powers in areas where Russia and Austria-Hungary were both claiming rule to this area, and so you had both of them, as we can see from the line. You also had neutral nations, which were Switzerland, Netherlands, and the Scandinavian countries, except Finland, because Finland, if we can remember during that time, was actually the farthest German-Austrian advance. And you had the Allied powers. Imperialism. Now, all the great powers were competing for colonies and territories in Africa. The British feared Germany in Africa. The Austrians feared Serbia and Russia in the Balkans, because we know that Russia and Serbia and the Balkans have a very strong relationship culture-wise, economic and imperial rivals. So as we can see, the entity powers controlled most of the world, and you had the Central Powers, they controlled much of the world, but and there was the neutral states. But of course, we can see from this map that it was a real conflict, right? Nationalism. This was an age when all nations wanted to assert their power and independence. And so, in Europe, you had the Slavs that were aided by Serbia and Russia and wanted to be free of Austrian rule. And what nationalism is that I say, you know what? I am not American. I am not Egyptian. I am Washingtonian. I am Kairouan. So if you have a huge group of people who start calling, I'm not Egyptian. I'm not American. I am this. I am, for example, let's say New Yorkan. Then you can call for nations to secede from this country. And in Europe, you had the Slavs who wanted to be free from Austrian rule, and you had Russia supporting the nationalist movement. So Serbia's national flag. So from this map, we could see the aggressive nationalism in Europe at the time. You had Austria-Hungary shooting at Russia, which was sending grenades on Austria from down here. You had the Ottomans who were blowing at the Balkans. At the time, you had Spain attacking or having fights, with France. You had Germany pushing on both sides, pushing at Russia, pushing at France. But of course, as you can see, that Germany and Austria are not having any fights. And as I said earlier, Turkey is pushing at the Balkans because at that time, Ottoman Empire was in the Balkans. So you had the Pan-Slavist, the Balkans in 1914, and here's the Balkans. Here's a map, And there's the powder keg of Europe. It is called the powder keg of Europe. Now the spark. The crisis. It started in 28th of June 1914. Heir to the Austrian throne, Franz Ferdinand visits Sarajevo, which is the capital of Bosnia, recently grabbed by Austria. Austria at the time was a colonizing power. It was the hotbed of Slav nationalism, and you had this crisis at the time. Nationalism, Slavs don't want to be Austrians, etc. So you had Franz Ferdinand, and you have his wife, and both of them go to Sarajevo. Now the crisis number 2. There's the Black Hand, or terrorists attack the Archduke. He's the Archduke and heir to the throne. The bomb attempt fails in the morning. So there's an attempt to kill him, and the bomb attempt fails. So you can already see how much he's disliked. Now Gavrilo Prince shoots Archduke and his wife in the afternoon. Problem. So this guy's heir to the throne. You have this guy shooting at him. He kills him and his wife. And so Austrians blame Serbia for supporting the terrorists because they didn't want to hand him over. So there is Gavrilo Princip, who's the assassin. The crisis number 3. Demands must be put to Serbia that would be wholly impossible for them to accept. Austrians, supported by Germany, send Serbia a tough ultimatum. Serbia agrees to all but 2 terms of the ultimatum. And so Russia mobilizes her troops to support Serbia, so it gets ready for anything. Russia is behind, Serbia's back. Germany demands that Russia stands her army down so nothing happens. Russia doesn't do so, so Germany declares war on Russia, and that is the beginning of World War I. Who's to blame? Everyone's to blame. As you can see from this picture, you have, Austria is going to do a move on Serbia. If you'll touch me, if you make me move, and you have Russia hitting Austria, Germany is going to hit Russia, and then you have all the alliance, France and Britain over here. You know what, Germany, if you do something, we're behind Russia's back. So why did Britain get involved? Sir Edward Grey, British Foreign Minister, there's some devilry going in Berlin. Britain had entities with France and Russia, and only friendly agreements. But French and Russian give an impression Britain would fight, and the Schefflin Plan. So France and Russia were give the impression that to other countries that Britain would fight. The Schefflin Plan, as I said, is Germany's military plan to defeat France and Russia. Knockout blow aimed at France first. So avoid French defenses by invading Belgium. So they would invade Belgium, right, and then attack France, and then they would go and hit, Germans thought Britain would not intervene, but they were wrong. Britain's reaction was scrap of paper. In 1813, Great Britain had signed the treaty to protect Belgium. Britain, also scared of Germany controlling Channel ports, did not want Germany to defeat France and dominate Europe. Britain could be next, right? And Channel ports, remember we said that Britain had a problem with waterways. Great Britain issued utilitarium to Germany to withdraw troops from Belgium. War declared on August 4th, 1914, and that was the beginning of the war, and that is how Britain joined the war. Thank you for watching this video, and thank you very much for your support. Thank you.